Utah's Uinta Basin has always been a land of legend, a rough and wild expanse where secrets seep from the earth like mist. But at Blind Frog Ranch, those secrets have become something else, something darker. Something that pulls at the edges of science and sanity. This season, the mystery deepens as a new phenomenon rises to the surface. A mountain that may not just be hiding treasure, but concealing what appears to be a black hole. It began with a reading. A seemingly routine ground scan as the Olinga team worked their way up the canyon's ridges. The crew had set out to map subsurface cavities beneath a jagged mountain face where past anomalies had been detected. Nothing prepared them for the data that followed. Readings that showed not just a void, but an inexplicable absence of matter. A region where electromagnetic waves bent, where light failed to return, where the rules of physics seemed to stutter and die. The anomaly was buried deep inside the mountain, directly beneath a stretch of rock that had long repelled drills, tools, even explosives. Drones sent toward the cliff wall short-circuited or fell without warning. Animals wouldn't go near it. Compass needles whirled without direction. The deeper the team looked, the more it became clear. This wasn't just a cave or a cavern. It was something else. To call it a black hole might seem ridiculous. After all, black holes belong in the vacuum of space, collapsed stars devouring all around them. But the evidence defied every natural explanation. The space inside the mountain was cold. Colder than the surrounding rock, colder than it should have been. Instruments failed to measure depth. Gravity sensors behaved erratically, like the mountain's core was distorting time and space. The team called it the Dark Core. Blind Frog Ranch had always been a place where strange forces seemed to converge. Previous seasons unearthed artifacts of impossible age, signs of ancient mining operations, and tales of Spanish gold. Locals had whispered for decades about spirits, UFOs, and things best left buried. But this was different. This was the unknown clawing its way out from deep inside the earth. As weeks passed, the team attempted to access the anomaly. Specialized ground-penetrating radar was deployed. The imagery showed swirling layers of mineral and gas, but nothing solid. At the center, a circular shape, a void, seemed to fluctuate with a rhythm, like it was alive. Not breathing exactly, but pulsing, like a heartbeat felt through stone. The Olinga crew knew they needed to go in. But every time they tried to breach the passage from the surface, disaster followed. Heavy machinery broke. Excavation teams were struck with vertigo and hallucinations. One worker reportedly walked off the dig site in a daze, whispering about falling without falling. Another lost time. Hours vanished in what felt like minutes. These weren't just superstitions. The mountain was resisting. Geologists were brought in. They couldn't explain it. No fault lines, no geothermal activity, no magnetic ore. Just an immense pocket where no readings would stabilize. Their conclusion: if it wasn't a cavity, it was something even more bizarre, a gravitational anomaly. But they couldn't say more. As pressure mounted, the team made a risky decision: an exploratory descent using a robotic cable drone, equipped with thermal imaging, sonar, and atmospheric sensors. They drilled through a narrow opening that bypassed the unstable surface rock, lowering the drone into what should have been solid mountain. The feed went dark 30 meters in. Just static. When the drone was reeled back up, the exterior was melted, half missing, like it had been dipped in acid or subjected to immense pressure. Whatever was inside wasn't empty. Whatever was inside was active. Word spread. Conspiracy theorists latched onto the story. Some claimed the site was hiding extraterrestrial tech or a failed government experiment. Others insisted the area aligned with ancient ley lines or interdimensional portals. One obscure theory suggested that the mountain was a collapsed dome, a geological plug covering an ancient reactor or stargate. Meanwhile, indigenous historians pointed to petroglyphs nearby that warned of the mouth of the earth. Symbols that bore an eerie resemblance to modern black hole diagrams, spirals, voids, swallowing suns. Some tribes spoke of beings that fell into the mountain and never returned. Creatures swallowed by darkness that even the sky refused to see. In a bold move, the team installed seismic microphones along the mountain. The sounds they captured were faint at first, then grew louder, throbbing, clicking, metallic groans like distant chains dragging across stone. On one particularly active night, the microphones recorded a low-frequency hum, so deep it vibrated the canyon. The next day, the entry site collapsed. The team didn't stop using satellite data. They tracked a strange thermal signature that moved beneath the surface. A cold spot drifting through rock like a ghost through walls. It didn't behave like magma or gas. It moved with intent. It followed the team's activity, almost like it was watching. What could it be? A naturally occurring black hole seems scientifically impossible inside Earth's crust. But whatever resided in that mountain didn't obey conventional laws. Gravity warped, magnetism inverted, temperatures dropped to nearly absolute zero. The anomaly had characteristics of a singularity, but it was too small, too self-contained, too reactive. Then came the final twist. A member of the team, desperate to understand the mystery, left a high-speed camera facing the mountain overnight, equipped with an ultraviolet filter. When they reviewed the footage the next morning, they found something chilling. For 3 seconds, just before sunrise, the mountain flickered. Not visibly, but in the UV spectrum. A jagged shadow appeared around the void, a corona of dark energy, like the warped lensing seen around true black holes. And within that flicker, frames revealed something worse. Silhouettes. Human-shaped, tall and thin, standing motionless at the edge of the void. When daylight came, they were gone. The footage was kept secret. Only a few people saw it. Whether the images were real, a trick of light, or something far more ominous, no one could say. But the fear in the camp was real. The anomaly had shifted from a scientific puzzle to something far more threatening. The mountain was no longer just resisting, it was responding. Blind Frog Ranch had long been cursed with secrets, lost gold, forbidden knowledge, the remains of civilizations too old to remember. But now it seemed the land itself was alive. Beneath that lonely peak, something ancient stood. Not just a hole, not just a void, but a tear in the fabric of the world. A wound where reality bled away into something else. As the season closes, the team faces a hard truth. This isn't just about treasure anymore. It isn't even about discovery. The sun rose over the high desert of eastern Utah, casting long golden rays over the fractured rock and ancient canyons. But there, tucked within the folds of the Uinta Basin, something impossible stood beneath Blind Frog Ranch. Not gold, not oil, not ancient relics. Something far older, something not of this world. For generations, the area had whispered secrets. Miners vanished. Lights danced in the sky. Strange animals roamed the scrub brush and shadows. And beneath the crust, layers of the unknown waited to be unearthed. But this season, the ground offered up something terrifying. Something not even the most outlandish conspiracy theorist could have imagined. It began with a tunnel. Weeks into the latest excavation season, the Olinga crew was working deep inside a collapsed cavern beneath the North Ridge. The goal was simple: locate branching tunnels believed to be part of an old Spanish mining operation. But what they found wasn't man-made. The rock changed. Smooth walls turned porous, almost melted. There was no evidence of pickaxes or human work, just a vertical chute descending into blackness. Even stranger, the air was unnaturally cold, the walls coated with a sheen of dustless ash. Instruments sent down into the shaft malfunctioned one by one. At 30 feet, light vanished. Not dimmed, disappeared. Further testing confirmed the impossible. Ground-penetrating radar bounced back distorted signals. LiDAR scans fragmented into nonsense. Electromagnetic pulses spiraled unpredictably. No known geological formation behaved this way. Inside that mountain, something was warping reality. Above ground, researchers deployed a magnetometer and gravity sensor array. Both devices recorded violent fluctuations near the shaft. Gravity dipped sharply, then spiked. The magnetic field fractured into spirals and swirls. It was as if the mountain's core had been carved away and replaced with a black spot, a literal hole in physics. Locals called it cursed. Ranchers refused to bring cattle within half a mile of the ridge. Cameras set up overnight captured bizarre flashes of violet light and the outlines of shadowy figures along the ridgeline. But there was no wind, no wildlife, no movement. And then came the drone. Outfitted with thermal imaging and radiation sensors, the team's modified aerial drone was lowered into the shaft. The feed showed layers of rock, then ash, then nothing. A darkness that consumed infrared light and reflected no data. Seconds later, static. The feed was lost. When the drone was pulled back, its exterior was warped. Not melted, not crushed, but bent. The metal's molecular structure had changed, as if time, heat, and force had conspired to rewrite its shape. The team gathered in disbelief. Geological anomalies were common in the basin: gas pockets, sinkholes, fault lines. But this was different. This was focused.